Welcome to our tree and shrub planting and fertilization training. The purpose of this procedure is to ensure proper, efficient, safe, and standardized planting and fertilization of trees and shrubs. This procedure applies to all employees who are responsible for planting and or fertilizing these types of plants. Field managers and crew leaders are responsible for ensuring the correct species and number of plants are present, ensuring the planting plan is followed, troubleshooting issues, and ensuring the crew is working efficiently and safely, and communicating the client's vision with the crew. Crew members are to implement this procedure throughout the operation, execute the client's vision, and working in a safe and efficient manner. They are to report all issues to their leader or manager. To properly and efficiently execute this procedure, you'll need several tools and materials. For hand tools, you may need a digging shovel, a spade, a pick, pitchfork, and hand pruners. You'll definitely need a broom, blower, a debris bin, and a durable tarp for cleaning up. For watering, you'll need a hose and a hose nozzle with the gentle shower setting. A few materials you'll likely need are mulch and fertilizer. As for these two, contact your leader or manager to ensure you are getting and using the correct type. For stabilization and plant support, you may need arbor tie, stakes, and burlap. To transport plant material, you may need a tree dolly. And finally, if there is irrigation planned or present, you'll need irrigation tools and hardware. As for personal protective equipment, you may need long sleeve shirts and pants for sun protection, eye protection, and gloves. But you may not need all of these tools. So use your judgment or ask your crew leader or manager what will and what won't be needed. There are 4 important terms you need to understand to ensure safe planting for these trees and shrubs. The first is girdling, which is when something like a root, a wire, or a string is wrapped tightly around the trunk or main stem, cutting into it, and stopping the flow of water and nutrients. Girdling can slowly kill a plant over time. Usually, something that is causing girdling can be cut away easily to relieve the pressure. Always check for and remove anything wrapped tightly around trunk, stem, or roots before planting. The second term is the root flare. The root flare is the part of the tree where the trunk widens and the main roots start to spread out at the base. The root flare should always be at or slightly above ground level when planting. If it's buried, the tree can rot and die. The third is the tree ring. This is the circle of cleared and level soil or mulch around the base of a newly planted tree or shrub. The tree ring protects the plant from mowers and trimmers, retains water, and helps roots grow better. It should be flat or slightly raised at the edge, but it should never be piled up at the trunk. For an established plant, it should be around the drip line. For new plantings, it should be at the edge of the root ball, and the mulch should make a bowl to hold water. And lastly, root bound is the condition where a plant's roots outgrow their container or space, becoming densely packed and often circling around the edges. It restricts root growth, limits water and nutrient uptake, and stresses the plant, and can lead to poor health or death if not corrected. The first phase is to sort and eliminate waste before planting. The first step of this phase is to inspect the delivered plants and group them by their species and placement area. Second, recount plants to ensure the correct number of each was delivered and is present. Next, examine each plant and make sure to remove dead or diseased portions, or remove entire plants from the group if they do not appear to meet company planting standards. Fourth, segregate all tools and materials that are not needed. Preferably leave them in the truck so they are not forgotten on the property or are in the way. And finally, identify and mark any underground utilities or obstructions to ensure anyone who is digging does not hit them. The second phase is to set everything in order and organize the work area for optimal efficiency. Lay out all of your plans per the site plan and spacing specifications. Stage your tools and amendments near your first zone you plan to plant. If you need to, use a tarp to keep it contained and organized. Assign everyone a specific role such as digging, planting, and watering. The third phase is to shine and maintain a clean, safe workspace during planting. Make sure to keep walking past clear of tools and materials. Stack and dispose of trash such as nursery pots and plant tags. Clean your tools such as your hand pruners between each plant alteration to avoid potential cross-contamination of disease. Each of these steps ensures safe planting for both the plants and our employees and maintains a neat and organized work site. The fourth phase is the planting. First, you are to dig and prepare the planting hole. For trees, the hole should be 2 to 3 times wider than the plant's root ball, and only as deep as the height. For shrubs, it should be 1.5 times wider. For both trees and shrubs, the top of the root ball should always be sitting an inch or 2 above grade. The grade is the level of the soil before you dug the hole. Also, the bottom of the hole should be hard. If it is too soft and loose, the plant will settle to below grade and cause rotting at the top of the crown. When you're removing the soil from the hole, place it on a tarp nearby so it doesn't get into the lawn and is easy to add fertilizer if needed. Next, when positioning the plant, first find the face of the plant. The face is the most attractive or suitable side to view from. Point the face towards where people will view it most often. You don't want it to be facing a fence. You want it to face towards a patio or a walkway where the clients will be looking at it from. Once the face is found and positioned, view the plant from 2 different angles to make sure it's straight before you plant it.
In this video, we're going to show you how to plant a tree. Not just any tree, but a balled and burlap tree, which is how many of the larger trees come from the nursery. It's a little different than planting a potted plant, so you need to be careful about some of the steps we're going to show you here. The first thing, as with planting any plant, particularly a tree, that's the most important is the hole itself. Now, why not just dig any hole in the ground and pop the tree in there? We don't want to do that because it's critical that the level of the root flare, or where the trunk goes out into the roots, is equal to the soil that's around you. If you plant that root flare too deep, you encourage something that's called girdling roots. New roots can form out of the trunk and circle it because of the soil around it, and those roots will develop, and in time, when the tree is quite mature, when you're most happy with it, it can strangle the tree and cause it to die. So it's very important that you dig your hole as wide as possible. Some people say 3 times the width of the root ball. Most people would probably do it about twice that amount. We generally do that. But no deeper than the root ball itself, so that the root flare sits even with the soil around you. Now we're going to roll the tree into the hole and position it to where we want it. That looks pretty good. Once you've got the tree in the hole and you've got any twine or that removed from it, you want to get a look at the tree and sort of turn it around in the hole to make sure that the best side of the tree is facing towards the way which you're most likely going to look at it. Put its best side forward, so to say. So then the other thing, we've got it in the hole, we've got it sort of set up where we want it, then we kind of want to level the tree in the hole and get it where we want it. So I think we're going to need a little soil in the back side here. Hal's just going to add some soil there. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, a lot of people would be tempted at this point to just backfill the hole and go in there with their shoes and stomp the soil down around and then water the tree. That's not really accepted practice anymore. The reason being is that you just end up compacting the soil and taking all the airspace out of the soil. So what we do, what most professionals do these days, is use water to settle the soil. And what we're going to do is we're going to backfill it about 1/3, the hole, and then we're going to put in a lot of water into the hole and let that sort of work the soil down. And then once we've got that settled in there, then we'll do some more work. Okay, that's pretty good. Once you've got the hole filled about 1/3 of the way with soil, come in with your water again, and you're going to spray that in there, spraying the sides of the root ball to try to expose some of the roots and settle the soil down into the bottom of the hole. All right, that's good. Stop. So now that we've got some water in there and the soil is settled in and around there, we're going to start looking at the root flare of the tree again. Again, our key here is to avoid girdling roots. And sometimes when the trees are dug, the automatic spade that digs the tree out of the ground compresses the soil and pushes some soil up over the top of the root flare. And that can also promote girdling roots. So we want to really expose the root flare with the water and make sure that all the roots that are coming out of there are going out radially and none are circling around the trunk. What you'll see Hal is doing right now is roughing up the root ball a little more now that it's moist. It was a little hard before. What we're doing here might seem...
If soil amendments are necessary, make sure to first clarify details with your crew leader or manager. When adding compost, it's standard to use a 2-to-1 ratio. For example, if you have 2 yards of soil, add 1 yard of compost. As for fertilization, we typically use the slow-release granules. Follow the directions on the package. But usually for a 1-inch caliber tree, we use about 1/2 to 1 cup of fertilizer. When fertilizing shrubs, make sure to do the same and communicate with your leader or manager when choosing the right kind. As always, follow the instructions on the fertilizer packaging. Some common measurements are 1 tablespoon for a 1-gallon pot, 2 tablespoons for a 3-gallon pot, and 3 to 4 tablespoons for a 5-gallon pot. When fertilizing, use a measuring tool to ensure the plant is not over-fertilized, which would pose a threat to the plant's health. Also, make sure to evenly distribute the granules amongst the soil you plan to backfill with. When it comes to staking trees, we usually only do it if we absolutely need to, such as when there are windy conditions or the tree itself is unstable. Only install stakes if you are directed to by your crew leader or manager. If you are unsure if you need to, always ask. We install 3 stakes, all equally distanced from each other around the root ball. They should be pressing right up against the outside of the root ball, as shown in this diagram. The bottom of the stake should be hammered approximately 6 to 8 inches deep into the subgrade soil. You can usually tell it's subgrade because it's firmer or more compacted than the looser grade used to backfill the hole around the root ball. And finally, to ensure the tree or shrub are able to retain water, create a mulch or soil ring around the base of the plant. This ring creates a sort of bowl right above the root ball, ensuring the water does not run off and can settle properly into the roots. Thank you for watching this tree planting training. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your crew leader or manager.